Billy Carson went on Joe Rogan's podcast. This got 4.4 million views. And he just lied through his teeth all the time. Here we go.
UCLA CDLI online cuneiform digital library. Say that fast 10 times. I was able to take stone tablets and decipher them myself. So anyone can go online to the UCLA CDLI online cuneiform digital library and read these stone tablets for themselves. You don't need Zacharias Hitchens. You don't need anyone else. And as I
okay, I'm gonna stop him right now because I just immediately got annoyed. Okay, first of all, no, he didn't.
Yeah,
he does not know how to read ancient Sumerian or Akkadian. He did not go on there and translate tablets.
And
that's
the fact
nonsense.
that he says that he deciphered them. I don't even think he understands what that word means in the context in which he's speaking. When he said, I went on there and deciphered the text. No, other people deciphered the text and put the translations and transliterations up there for you to be able to read them.
And I like how his go-to expert is Zacharias Sitchin. Like you don't need this other like that's where he's just getting all his information from. But this is how he lies to people. He claims that he's a leading expert. He claims he's translating tablets. So the layperson is going to think, oh, this guy is actually giving me the original sources. I'm going to what they actually say. And then he'll people will just be like, oh, okay, I guess he must be an expert. But that's how he gets away with this nonsense. And no one is well informed enough to really call him out in his audience because they've not translated tablets. Most people haven't.
Well, there's actually on that site, I think there's like 360,000 different tablets, and only something like, this percentage might be off a little, but it's about 4% have been translated. And it's just because they don't have enough people to translate them all. Like, this isn't a field that people go into, like, you're 6 years old and you're like, yeah, I want to translate cuneiform. Like, they just don't do that. So what we have is on there, when I searched what Billy would be looking for, keywords like Anunnaki, English, there's only 3 tablets on that whole site that are talking about Anunnaki at all. So
let's play a little bit more and let's see what he says about
it.
Yeah.
I began to break these tablets down.
Do they have them transcribed, or are you reading the actual tablet?
They transcribe them. They actually transcribe them into English for you.
Is there controversy as far as, like, are there different versions of the transcription? Like, do some people think it's interpreted differently?
All right, so there he lied. John, did he lie there? He said they're all translated in English for you there?
Yeah, all of them. All 360,000 of them translated into English for you right there, buddy. And you can decipher them for yourself.
Well, and we can, like, this is the website he mentions right here, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So let's type in Anu.
Click the search button, because that one, it comes up with like 0. I'm over here pointing to the freaking thing. Like,
the search thing here?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It'll bring you to a different page. And then search there.
I hit a typo there. Let's see what we got. I probably didn't spell that right. What did I do wrong? I always forget how to spell Anunnaki.
It's 1 N. I always mess it up.
Yeah. I think because I've seen it, but yeah, I'm getting 0 results for that at all. Let's type in Enki, because Enki's in there. Enki's a god of the Sumerian. Okay, we got Enki. Okay. But does this look like a translation to you right here?
Yeah. So when you read it, right? Like, I spent a good amount of time on the site because I've wanted to just be sure you can go on there and read some of it. It's very difficult to read in the way that it's translated, because they'll have the translation that only translators understand, and then they'll have something else, and then they'll have English right under it, and it's like backwards, and you got to read it this way. It's bananas. I was thinking about it, right? If there's 360,000 of them on there, and you took an hour on each of them, that's like 40 years that you would have to study these tablets with no breaks. And I'm pretty sure Billy, is older than 40, but I don't think he spent all that time studying the tablets.
Yeah, most of these aren't translated. When I was looking at this, he's just wrong. First of all, he claims he translated them, so why would he care if there's English? Okay, he says he can read this and decipher it for us. Okay, And when you go through, they're not translated. You need experts for this kind of stuff.
Right.
Billy Carson isn't an expert. There's very few, as you mentioned, that are actually translated.
Right.
Most of this is just a catalog for experts to be able to use and go through. And you can see, like, you just look at the text on the screen. None of this is translated. You can see a couple here. Like, we found like a couple off the top of my head, but of the thousands, there's only a few there. Yep. And of course, none of this is mentioning the same nonsense that Zachariah Sitchin spews, that Billy Carson spews. It's just nonsense.
I think the Descent of Ishtar, the Enuma Elish, and one other are the ones that I found on there that Billy might possibly be talking about, just to give him the benefit of the doubt. But yeah.
I mean, you could find some on here, but I mean, the majority, like this one isn't. This is
Right.
just telling you that what the text is. This one is, though. So as we can see there, yeah, we can see some translations here. But I mean, no, they're not all. And I highly doubt he went through this like he claims he did, because he would not be arriving at the conclusions he has, because anyone can read translations of a lot of these works.
Right.
You know, I've read the Descent of Ishtar or Inanna's Descent multiple times because we deal with Jesus mythicists.
Right.
That kind of stuff. So, by the way, did you punch the wall behind you?
No, that is
Other side.
so if you go this way, it's like branches and stuff. It's like a wall sticky thing.
Is that your excuse? Okay.
That's my excuse.
I see a bird now. I realize that there was a
Yeah,
bird
yeah,
there.
that's a
Okay.
bird. You're not translating what's on this wall correctly. Okay.
I'm pulling a Billy Carson on you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm gonna move ahead a little bit here because Joe just sort of goes on about how amazing the tablets are, which, you know, agreed, but I mean,
Something Joe says, I don't know if we heard it yet, but I remember he says, you know, is there any discrepancy about the translation? And Billy says, no, there's not, except, you know, where pieces are chipped off. But that kind of like double shoots him in the foot. He shoots himself in the foot. One is because if there is discrepancy, right? Because if you check the website, you can look to see revisions. So they're constantly being revised and better translated. But then he also shoots himself in the foot by saying that no, there's no discrepancy among scholars about this, because well then your whole entire movement is based on something that disagrees with everybody else. So if there's no discrepancies, but everybody else who are experts at this disagrees with your interpretations of them, then
everyone.
there you go.
Yeah, we'll get into some of that. I'm gonna pull up the Atrahasis a little later here, and we'll go into
Nice.
show you how Billy lies about what's in there, you know. But yeah, let's play a little bit more here.
It's so amazing.
It is. And what's incredible is this text was translated in the 1800s, long before Zachariah Sitchin was born. So there are some, some rumors that, he was the only one that could decipher these tablets. Well, no.
Who says that?
And ever Zachariah Sitchin is the only one who could translate. In fact, guess what, Billy? No one has said that but you. Like, there's not in the Syriologist alive who was like, "Oh, we need to get Zachariah back in here because none of us can translate." Like, that never happened. He couldn't even read them. Like, this is the level of intelligence Billy has. He just thinks people in the 1800s translated it. Then Zachariah Sitchin, him. Like, there's no one else, guys, apparently, according to. Wow.
George Smith, who worked as an Assyriologist and wrote many books and deciphered these Sumerian tablets in the 1800s. So we're talking about texts that have been deciphered for a few hundred years, nothing that was just deciphered recently.
So what are the first decipherings? Like, what year was the?
So real quick, he's ignoring the fact that a lot of times these translations are debated and changed.
Right.
So there's a text called Enemerkar and the Lord of Aratu. And that text was translated in the 1960s, and it's been updated since then. Like, new Assyriologists came out and they said, no, I think it needs to be translated this way. So there's a lot of debate around a lot of these texts, how to translate certain things. It's not like they figured it all out in the 1800s. End of story. Let's move on. That's not accurate at all. There still is debate among actual experts, not among people like Billy Carson.
Right.
The first deciphering?
It was in 1800. I think around 1850. George Smith. He actually worked at the I believe it was Cambridge.
What was his take? Like, when?
So real quick, is that accurate, John?
Nah.
No.
George Smith wasn't the first one to translate cuneiform. it was somebody named Henry Rollins, and
Yeah.
there was a whole bunch of other people as well around that time. Julius Oppert, Edward Hicks. So George Smith, he was a little bit late to the game, not like fully late, because he did help translate the Epic of Gilgamesh, but he was not first. So to make the claim that he was first, I don't know. It could just be a slip of the tongue. Like, Billy got so much nonsense up there that he thinks that George was first, but that's just not true.
Yeah. George was first, Sitchin's was second, and Billy is third. That's it. That's only people have translated these. That's it.
When he's reading all these wacky stories and all the Anunnaki stuff, like what's his take on it?
He is literally subscribing to this information the way almost that you and I see it today. These people saw something, experienced something, interacted with something, and he cataloged it, and it inspired him to write a complete translation of the Enuma Elish and the 7 tablets of creation. And he talks about the fact that that information was copied right from those tablets and put into the Old Testament of the Bible. And so,
Okay, I did look that up. I did find a place where George Smith claimed that the Genesis 6, for example, came from Mesopotamian texts. That was a strong belief in the 1800s, that a lot of what was going on was copying. That's not really the view of scholars today. If you read scholars like Mark Smith, Richard Hess, even someone like David Carr, for example, who kind of leans kind of in the direction of more influence, but no one thinks there was like direct literary copying, because if you read Genesis alongside like the Enuma Elish, or better case would be the Atrahasis, you will find similarities. Like, there's no doubt, but there's no literary connections. It doesn't seem like one was literary borrowing from the other. So this is outdated scholarship by far. Most scholars today don't think that the authors of Genesis had like a copy of the Atrahasis or the Epic of Gilgamesh, and they're like, okay, yeah, let's take that part there. That's not what they were doing. So anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, just him saying that George Smith subscribes to it in the same exact way that that they're talking about it, that these people did have interactions with these other beings. I couldn't find anything where George Smith said anything like that, that he believes that this was true and this really happened. No, his job was to translate it and tell you what it says. That's the extent of what his job was to do.
And I can't find any place where George Smith says the Anunnaki came from Nibiru and were space aliens.
Right.
Anunnaki were a group of deities in the Mesopotamian mythology. They were supposed to be descendants of like Anu, the sky god, in the earth. So the Anunnaki, like that's kind of where it comes from. It's not this idea they're like an extraterrestrial race. So, all right, let's play something else.
Not exactly like it's going to go from here to the Bible, but it went to other ancient papyruses and scriptures and so forth. And then later on, when it was discovered in caves, people took those and then said, okay, we got to put this into a book. And then it became the Bible much later, around 100 AD.
Okay, did he just say the Bible was put together in 100 AD from scrolls they found in a cave?
Okay, but wait. But he also says that the Bible was put together at the Council of Nicaea. So which one is it? Which one is it?
This guy. I love this guy. He just he's got I just picture like, you remember the movie Inside Out from Pixar?
Yeah.
Like the big line of memories. I just think there are like
the balls,
the little balls. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a crazy version of that inside his head, and they're just just scroll up. And it gets up there, and who's ever in charge of the command center is like, let's just say this is fact. Doesn't matter if it contradicts what we said 5 seconds ago. Let's just throw it out there. So that's what's going on right now.
That is a great picture of Billy's brain. Thanks so much for watching that clip. If you want to see the full episode, click right here. God bless.